How much do you owe?
$307,000.
When you see that amount written out, what do you think?
How am I ever going to pay this back?
And this is going to take me approximately 30 years to pay off.
Like every single time I get an email, like, we're still arguing about the SAVE plan, so your loans are still in forbearance, but just know they're accruing interest. Babe, I don't care. I don't care what the going on with those.
This is how you get Starbucks to pay for 100% of your college tuition. No, not a scam, not a joke. We're going to go into the details right here.
Today, we are going to be talking about student loan debt and honestly, the straight up scam that they are. A lot of us were told in high school that we needed to go to college to be successful, and I think college is great. I went to college myself and I definitely don't regret it. However, the caveat here is that I don't think it's worth going hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt just to go to college. If you want to attend college, which I think is still a great option, there are cheaper ways to do it, which we will discuss later in the video. As I was researching for this video, I came across a clip, and I don't remember which one it was, but someone commented, "I'm too European for this." So if you're watching this and you're from another country, this is just one of those things in America that also makes no sense, just like our healthcare system, and is also a scam. So welcome to the circus. You are about to see the craziness that is America's education system. This one says, when people bring up student loan debt like I don't know ball. Trust me, I know ball. Her total balance is almost $400,000 and the interest currently is at $21,637. She also says that her residency program is paying her about $15 an hour. And what got me about this one is she posted an update 3 months later and her interest is now at $25,000. Her interest in just 3 months went from $21,600 to $25,000, so her loans are accruing a little over $1,000 of interest every month. And later in the video, we will see clips of people talking about how they make payments towards their student loans every month, but the balance just keeps going up, and this is why. And that's because of interest. So if she pays $1,000 every month towards her student loans, her balance is still going to keep going up. A lot of people, unfortunately, are either making payments that just break even, so their student loans essentially never go away, or they're making payments that are just under the interest that's accruing, so their balance just keeps going up. It is actually terrible what interest does to these student loans. And yes, she is in med school, so I assume she's going to be a physician one day and she's going to be making a very nice salary. However, my anxiety would never let me take out $400,000 in student loans. My stress levels would be through the roof just seeing that number. Someone commented, "You're rich, you're a doctor." Heard that one multiple times, still paying back these loans at age 53. My law school loans are 25 plus years old, still 6 figures. I actually forget about them sometimes. They will die with me. This interest rate should literally be criminal, completely insane. As an ophthalmology resident, it's wild that interest starts while you're still in school. I'm currently sitting at almost $60K in interest alone. My sister went to UCLA med school. I recently asked her what her school debt was when she graduated in 1984. She told me she never had any loans because tuition was $5K a year. That's another thing, tuition rates have just kept on rising at all of these schools, making them so unaffordable. That is actually wild that med school at UCLA in 1984 only cost $5,000. I just looked it up and confirmed, and that was the price. $5,000 in 1984 in today's money with inflation is now about $15,000. And you know how much UCLA med school costs in 2025? It's definitely not $15,000. It's $52,000 for California residents and $65,000 for out-of-state students. That is not inflation. That is just straight up greed and tuition just getting way out of hand. What's even worse than the medical school debt, though, is when people are essentially in the same position. They've taken out 6 figures of student loans and have studied something that didn't really give them good job prospects after college.
I knew before I had went to college that it was going to be bad. But when I saw these numbers, I quite literally shit my pants and threw up all at the same time, like simultaneously. Let's really break it down. So this 62,000 here, this is how much I borrowed. That is including room and board, meal plans. Every semester we got a refund, and I always returned it back to the lender. I never kept any of it. Let's see, 92,000 here. That is the interest. Okay, that is nuts because that is literally obviously more than what I even borrowed. And then the grand total, 155,000. I did not go to some well-known big university. I literally went to the dinkiest, stupidest university in Pennsylvania. It's nuts. The education was terrible. Okay? And this is going to take me approximately 30 years to pay off. So if anyone, because I'm so dumb when it comes to any of this, anyone has any advice as to how I can pay this off faster, or there's like student loan forgiveness programs or whatever groups, organizations, I am all ears right now, because I am literally like already miserable just thinking about having to pay this off, knowing that I looked back at it like on my freshman or like sophomore year, and I was like, I don't like even know what I'm doing here. Like I wanted to drop out so bad, and I've graduated with a criminal justice degree, and I'm like, but like that's a discussion for another time. Like I'm just all ears. Please help.
She said she's going to be paying these student loans back for 30 years. That is the same amount of time as most people have a mortgage payment. Something she says in the video is, I'm so dumb about this stuff, but to me, that's just a cop-out. We can't be saying, I'm so dumb for this, I can't figure it out on my own. This is our financial future. We have to figure it out. We have to find a way. And I'll give her a pass for back when she was like 17 or 18 years old and signing up for these loans. She probably didn't completely understand what she was getting herself into. When you've basically just become an adult, you don't have a ton of real world experience with finances. So that gets a little bit of a pass. But now that she is 22 to 24 years old post grad, you have to take this into your own hands. You have to learn what you can do to pay these things off. You have to take your financial future seriously. And the terrible thing about student loans is they stay with you forever, even if you file for bankruptcy, which shouldn't be a first option anyway. Bankruptcy is pretty bad as well. It shows up on your credit report and really affects your future. But even if you do declare bankruptcy, student loans do not get wiped clean in that process. It is just wild to me that the loan amount was $62,000 and the interest alone is $92,000, making the total to be repaid $155,000. This one says, tell me how much you guys owe in student loans so I feel better, please. Someone commented, $44K, started at $60K. Not one time did someone sit me down and calculate what my payments would be when I graduated or explain compounding interest. They just said, you'll get a good job and pay it back, no problem. And that is what so many people were promised when they took out student loans. They were told if they didn't go to college, they would be flipping burgers at McDonald's. So a lot of students that didn't have financial aid or didn't have the means from their parents ended up going and taking out a bunch of student loans that they are now regretting having to pay back. And then we see a lot of comments like this, girl, IDK, and I don't care to check. I blocked those people from emailing me. $160K without interest, and since I'm not interested, I actually owe $0. The problem is they're going to get their money somehow, some way. They'll start garnishing your paychecks. They'll garnish your retirement. It'll show up as a ding on your credit report. Collection agencies might buy your debt and will start calling you every day. There are a lot of consequences to not paying back your student loans. Someone else commented, everyone wants to clown on Dave Ramsey, but my husband and I paid off $100K in 5 years. We now have a generous down payment for our second house. It's possible with hard work and consistency. That's amazing. I love to see some positivity on here amidst a lot of negativity about student loans, and understandably so. This one hurts my soul. Me at 17 took out as many loans as I could to go to a private college. Me now became a teacher and I have over $150,000 in student debt. Someone commented, crazy, the community college I'm going to has the same program for a fraction of the price and the same degree. Someone commented, I'm guessing your monthly payment is around $1,200 if you're on a 20-year plan. The creator responded, yep, I refinanced them to be just under $1,000 a month at this point. $1,000 a month for 20 years. So if she pays $1,000 a month for 20 years, that's $12,000 a year times 20 years is $240,000. I feel nauseous for her just thinking about paying that amount of money on a teacher's salary. Someone commented, a lot of people don't think about their earning to debt ratio of college when they go right after high school. And the creator commented, 100% should be taught in high school. And while I agree and think that it would be great if they offered more guidance for high school students, at the end of the day, it's up to us to research what kind of job do I want? What kind of education do I need? How much money will I be making after college? If you kind of willy-nilly take out student loans and don't have a plan to pay those back, you are putting yourself in a pretty financially vulnerable position. Someone else commented, that's wild. Got my teaching degree from a state college for $0 after FAFSA, and here we are with the same job and salary. Yep, this is definitely not the way to do it. If you have rich parents, maybe go to a private school, but if you're taking out student loans, 100% do community college to state school. Now we can look at some people who have taken out student loans and have just decided that they are not going to pay them back.
I need the government to understand that I don't give a about my student loans. Like every single time I get an email, like, we're still arguing about the SAVE plan, so your loans are still in forbearance, but just know they're accruing interest. Babe, I don't care. I don't care what the f is going on with those. You could charge me 600% interest. I do not care. Matter of fact, I'm blocking you.
Someone commented, "You'll care when they garnish your paychecks, lol. Why take out the loan if you aren't going to pay it back? I don't care equals more interest adds up. Bankers love it. The government doesn't care if you pay them back. Your credit score, however, does." And we see this attitude time and time again in these debt videos. I'm not paying it back ever. They're not getting anything from me. They will get their money and they will ruin you in the process. Your credit will tank. You won't be able to get a mortgage, an auto loan, rent an apartment, anything that requires credit essentially. So this is not a good plan. And here's another person who's not paying their loans back and has supposedly found a different way to dodge them.
Here's how I haven't paid my student loans and why I never will. You don't have to pay them back. All you have to do is re-enroll in community college and take any fucking associate's degree. Dance, pottery, doesn't matter. As long as you're in school taking part-time classes, it will defer your loans for another year. Rinse and repeat.
Someone commented, "So take on more debt? School classes are not free. Just pay the loan." This strategy is obviously terrible and has no merit, but the problem with this is your interest is accruing this entire time that you're a forever student, so you are just digging yourself deeper and deeper in a hole.
With 2 master's degrees, Raquel Perry has always prioritized education, and she has the bills to prove it.
How much do you owe?
$307,000.
When you see that amount written out, what do you think?
How am I ever going to pay this back?
The 30-year-old mother teaches financial literacy to high schoolers in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. But when it comes to supporting her family, the numbers don't add up.
If I pay this $500, $600, $700 this month, how am I going to afford to buy food for the family for the month, for the week?
Perry avoided her payments, along with 40% of borrowers, after federal student loan bills resumed last fall following a pause for the pandemic. Borrowers won't face late fees for a 1-year grace period, but student loan advisor Betsy Mayotte warns interest is still building.
What are the consequences or risks in not addressing this issue?
If the loan ends up defaulting, it's going to be a big hit on your credit. Future debt that you need to take on, a mortgage, a credit card, a car loan, is likely going to have a much higher interest rate.
While everyone's situation is different, all federal loans offer an interest rate discount for auto pay. For some, up to $2,500 in annual interest could be written off on tax returns. And the government has constantly evolving programs that can eliminate or reduce loans, with options available through the online loan simulator tool.
I would love to see every consumer with student loans get in the habit of reevaluating their student loan strategy and checking in on things once a year.
Lessons for all, including those at the head of the classroom.
Someone commented, "Higher education should not be as expensive as it is. However, unless there's clear economic value in advancing, why take on the risk? I'm so glad I went to a community college. Why would you invest in 2 master's degrees without having an understanding of how you're going to pay the bill? I graduated with $140K in debt. I must admit that the interest pause was such a huge help. I took advantage of that and worked 3 jobs. Now I have $25K left." That's awesome. I think a lot of people during COVID, when interest was paused for about 3 years, ended up paying off their student loans or at least making a really sizable dent in them simply because interest was not accruing. So they used that time to buckle down and pay off their loans. I know not everyone had that option, but anyone who took advantage of that interest rate pause really put themselves in a good position. And that would be great if they could just remove the interest for everyone. I think a lot of people would be so grateful if they could just start paying their loans and not have to pay the absolutely insane interest, but that's what a lot of people did during COVID. Another thing to note is if you decide to go to college, you should study something useful so that you have a job waiting for you after you graduate.
What are you studying?
I am studying creative writing.
Going to a private institution for a degree that typically does not have the best return on investment.
But I have a passion for this kind of writing.
But
so
is the degree required?
Do
you have a degree?
Yeah, I have a degree.
In?
Liberal math.
What can we get into?
I don't know. What can you get into?
What are you studying?
Graphic communications. It's a super basic art degree.
Okay, so unemployment. Got it. We built up $75,000 of student loan debt. Say the degree one more time.
I study Shakespeare.
Okay, Shakespeare. Lovely guy. What are you going to do with that?
Well, that's such a complicated question.
Oh, no.
This is where you just have to say, we come from different worlds. You're not going to understand this.
What do you mean?
You won't understand, the precarity and why it's really all right.
What do you mean, though?
Your reaction there was I
studied music composition in college. I was in the College of Arts, School of Music, but I asked the job. and you didn't know what to say.
So I have a lot of experience working at writing centers.
Okay.
So I could be that, there's availability for those kinds of jobs. I also, something I really enjoy is like working with people.
The comments say it all on this one. I want to know what liberal math is. Why would someone get a degree for studying Shakespeare? And most people seem to agree, as 222,000 people liked that comment. I had a passion for riding horses. My mother told me to distinguish between hobbies and careers. I'm now a lawyer and ride horses as a hobby. Chicano studies needs to be added to the list. In America, you can just get a degree in any random topic. Yes, you can. College is this huge for-profit money-making scheme, so I personally think these institutions should have to prove their return on investment of the degrees they're giving out and should not be allowed to give people Shakespeare degrees. Here's another one. I spent almost $40,000 a year for a useless music degree. Someone commented, not sure if this is sarcastic or not. I believe in you, chase your dreams. I spent 5 years getting an athletic training degree. Now I'm a plumber. And here's a clip with some good tidbits of information. It says, college advice from someone who has 2 college degrees. Do not get a degree until you have studied the demand, job market, and the return on investment. Colleges are still a business that are in it for profit. There are many people with college degrees making $18 per hour and having to work a second job. Someone commented, a shame this still has to be said. First thing I made my kids do, look at the average salary and the need for the position. I regret not doing this, would have saved me all the school debt. Also try to gain work experience in your chosen field during college if possible. That's a great tip. After I transferred to a state school from a community college, I studied accounting and I immediately found an internship in my junior year, and then going into my senior year, I had a full-time associate offer locked down. It was really reassuring going into my senior year knowing that I had a job waiting for me as soon as I graduated. And in the clips I'm about to show you, these college students clearly didn't check the return on investment of the degrees that they're getting.
What is your major and your expected salary after you graduate?
My major is public health and my expected salary is like 6 figures.
My major is pre-law and my expected salary is like 6 figures.
I'm a biomedical science major and my expected salary is also 6 figures.
I'm an accounting major and hopefully 6 figures.
HR major and same thing, hopefully 6 figures, I guess.
My major is hospitality management, recreation and tourism. Expected salary, I don't have a job lined up, bro.
So, I'm an MIS major and I'm doing like a minor in AI. So I'm expecting like my salary out of college to probably be in like the 80 to 100K range, including bonus. So yeah.
The comments on this one were pretty brutal. No one in public health is making 6 figures. Dang, life's about to hit hard. HR girl will be making $40,000. As an accounting major from A&M, hate to break your heart, but there's absolutely no way in hell you are starting out at 6 figures, lol. Dang, they don't have a clue. And that one pairs well with this next clip.
I'm graduating from the University of Miami with a Bachelor's of Science in Communication. My major is Advertising Management. I have a minor in Sports Administration.
What kind of job could you get when you graduate?
Advertising and marketing for an esports team. I mean, that's why I did what I did in the first place. Granted, esports is a little bit nepotistic, but that's okay. That's my dream, though, honestly, to work with an esports team.
How has the University of Miami prepared you for life after graduation?
Through my professors and through my classes, I got to talk to a lot of their connections and get more information about where I should look next, what is the next best steps for me. And that's how I would say that they've really set me up, definitely through professor connections and also how they connect us with alumni here at the Career Center,
That answer does not give me much confidence, especially considering the fact that he is in a graduation cap and gown and he doesn't have an internship or job lined up. And when he was asked how his college prepared him for the real world, he just said that he had connections through professors and alumni, which doesn't sound promising either. The University of Miami is also a very expensive private school. The tuition alone is $63,000, and then when you include food and housing, books, personal, that's going to be about $98,000 to attend per year. So 4 years of that, sometimes even 5, because a lot of colleges scam you and you think you're going to be done in 4, but you're done in 5. So imagine 4 to 5 years of that, so $400,000 to $500,000 in student loans just to have a job paying you about $50,000. Does not sound promising to me. The comments were pretty brutal on this one too. Bro's going to be serving me coffee in a year. I pray it was a full scholarship. Can I have a cold brew with sweet cream, small please? The other thing to be aware of is if you are applying for college and you're 18 to 23 years old, your parents' income is included on the financial aid application.
A teenager is upset that her parents won't pay for college, despite making $320,000 a year. The 17-year-old named Haley called into the Dave Ramsey Show, saying that she'd received some scholarships that brought her tuition down to $30,000 a year. But that's still a six-figure degree. But her very well-off parents have just bought a vacation home and are planning to retire in the next few years, so they're not willing to chip into her education. So Haley asked Ramsey for advice on getting student loans because her parents' high income means she doesn't qualify for financial aid. Ramsey found it absurd that parents who can afford a vacation home would allow their child to sink six figures in debt for an education, calling it a screwed-up value system, and urging Haley to find a different school she could go to where she wouldn't have to take on debt. Ramsey's advice is often controversial, of course, and full disclosure, I'm not one who usually agrees with him. But in this case, I gotta go Team Ramsey. Teaching your kids the value of a dollar and how to pay their own way in life is vitally important. But Haley's situation butts up against another very real problem in America right now. Not only is college exorbitantly expensive, but the value of a college degree has been steadily declining for years. Partly this is because so many more people have degrees nowadays, but it's also because of the way the job market has changed, where even many low-rung entry-level jobs require a master's degree, but certainly don't pay like it. This puts young people in a situation where they often can't even get their foot in the door without an elite degree or two, leaving them carrying six figures worth of debt for a degree that often won't even get them a job that pays enough to pay off the debt from getting the degree in the first place. Again, expecting your kids to pay their own way in life is important. Everyone has to learn that. But we're no longer in the era when you can put yourself through college with a part-time job waiting tables, and we haven't been for decades. Forcing your child to voluntarily hurl themselves into the life-ruining meat grinder our education and economic system has become because you want to buy a vacation home? Gotta go with old Ramsey on this one. That is absurd.
Someone commented, since FAFSA counts your parents' income in financial aid calculations, parents who don't contribute are actively hurting their child. It's appalling that parents can hold their kids' future hostage just because the state presumes that they're financially providing for their education. Not to mention the financial aid system. Parents can cut you off on your 18th birthday, but they still count against you getting financial aid. I'm sorry, I just won't ever understand parents who wouldn't want to set their kids up for success when they have every ability to. If a parent claims a dependent and gets a tax break, they should help with tuition. I just think that the parents who have the ability and the means should help with their kids' education, especially because their income counts in the financial aid calculation. But if the parent is low income and gets financial aid, I don't think they should count. So to finish off this video, I wanted to share some information and resources on how people can attend college and not take out tens of thousands of dollars in student loans. One way to do that is to work for an employer who will pay for your college tuition. Here are some jobs that will pay: Disney, Papa John's, Starbucks, Taco Bell, and there's more. This is not an exhaustive list. And I wanted to talk about the Starbucks one specifically. Starbucks has something called their College Achievement Plan. You will receive 100% coverage at Arizona State University. You can choose from 180 plus bachelor's degree programs offered 100% online by the nation's most innovative university. And Arizona State University is a great school. It's not one of those little dinky universities that you hear ads for on the radio. According to usnews.com, ASU is ranked number 117 in national universities and number 57 in top public schools. If you can find an employer that will pay for your tuition to go to college while working there part-time, you are putting yourself way ahead of the curve and you'll be graduating debt-free. And here's a testimony from a girl who actually did the Starbucks College Achievement Plan and graduated from ASU.
I worked at Starbucks for 3 years. I was a barista and a shift lead, and I graduated from ASU this May. And it was one of the best things that I could have ever done. This was me in Arizona right before my ceremony, and it was amazing. So I actually graduated a year early, and I did ASU full-time the entire time, including summer sessions. And my final semester, I took 21 credits, and I was working 30 to 35 hours a week. And I think the biggest takeaway that I had from it that helped me get through it was knowing that the situation was temporary and being able to set a limit. If you tell somebody that you can only do 20 or 25 or maybe you can do 30 hours, only do that. And then take time to do homework, but also take time to have fun or relax or do anything else but work and homework. If anybody else has any more questions, leave them down below.
Another option is, of course, community college. It's not glamorous. No one dreams about going there after high school. I'm so grateful that I went to community college and then transferred to a state school. I saved so much money in the process, and I don't have a bunch of debt hanging over my head now. Another option is to wait until you're 24 to go to college. Maybe you can work in the meantime, take community college classes. That way your parents' income is not counted against you in the financial aid process, especially if they're not willing to help you pay for it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please like, subscribe, and comment down below a dog emoji so I know you watched the whole thing. And if you don't want to wait for my next upload, you can go ahead and check out this video right here on the screen. But thank you guys again, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!